Versatile Mage. Chapter 420. Battle Against the Fire School, Part 3. So strong. Zheng Jiahui glanced at Mo Fan in disbelief. He initially thought Mo Fan's strength was not worthy of being placed at the 100th rank, since he had to rely on his little trick to stop people from challenging him. Yet, when he saw Mo Fan had defeated almost 30 people with only basic spells, he could not help but have a different view of him. When he recalled Mo Fan's furious words to him, he somehow felt like Mo Fan was going to keep his promise. Impossible. No way. He might be strong, but there's no way he can face 200 challenges on his own. The ranking of the upcoming challenges would only get higher. Him defeating Jia Zhenlong doesn't mean he can handle the highly ranked students continuously, said Zheng Jiahui, shaking his head. In Zheng Jiahui's understanding, no one could possibly fight 200 people consecutively. After Jia Zhenlong, who had a soul seed, was defeated, the challenges suddenly became totally one-sided, which made Wei Rong very angry. He looked at the list of names, yet he was unfamiliar with all of them. He impatiently read the name of the next challenger, Zhu Hongguang, ranked 331st. Wei Rong no longer expected those ranked after 200th to defeat Mo Fan. As a matter of fact, he did not even expect them to force him to use his intermediate spells. He turned around and discussed some other topics with Bai Mei. Most importantly, he had no intention of seeing his students being crushed. Suddenly, an uproar was heard coming from the crowd, as if something exciting were about to happen. Wei Rong shifted his focus back to the duel. It turned out that the student called Zhu Hongguang had concealed his true strength. Mo Fan was taken by surprise and was forced to cast an intermediate spell. The star pattern under Mo Fan's feet was brilliant, a pure blazing red. His figure was engulfed in flames of the same color. The fiery fist was hurled forward. The scorching flames lunged at the student called Zhu Hongguang. It appeared that Zhu Hongguang was wearing some magical armor, which perfectly resisted Mo Fan's basic spells. Even the intermediate fiery fist's power was greatly reduced by it. However, a brief while later, Zhu Hongguang still lost the duel. That being said, the 331st ranked student had given the crowd a great surprise. When everyone thought he was going to be defeated easily with basic spells, he had managed to force his opponent to cast an intermediate spell. How embarrassing. They've only forced him to use an intermediate spell. They're cheering as if he won the duel, Bai Mei said with a smirk. The smile on Wei Rong's face disappeared instantly. On second thought, there was indeed nothing to be excited about. They had already sent out 36 challenges, yet they had only forced him to use an intermediate spell once. They should be embarrassed instead. Humans were much the same. When they were being bullied to a certain degree, any improvement to the situation would bring comfort to them. Yet, when they thought about it, the situation was far from what they had hoped for. Who knew that this Zhu Hongguang would be so impressive? He must have hidden his true strength for a very long time. Hopefully, someone ranked in the top 200 will appear among the challengers. Someone has to teach this guy a lesson, snapped Huang Exingli. Ding Yuming glanced at Huang Exingli curiously and giggled. I thought you were worried about him. Why are you crusading against him together with the rest now? How can you be so wishy-washy? Huang Exingli began to stammer. For some reason, she felt extremely unpleasant when she saw Mo Fan had the upper hand. It's reasonable. This transfer student looks rather unstoppable now. He has defeated over 30 challengers with only basic spells. Don't forget, he condemned us as trash to our faces. Based on how everything is turning out, our fire school is indeed proving to be useless. In order to save us some face, everyone would prefer to see him lose, said Lu Qian. Huang Exingli nodded. She was overjoyed, as the famous Lu Qian had just justified her weird reaction. It seemed like he was keeping an eye on her. That's right, if we don't defeat him soon, our fire school will become a laughing stock to the others. We can't even handle a transfer student, said Huang Exingli. Ding Yuming remained silent. Lu Qian did not speak further when he saw that Ding Yuming had chosen to be silent. The challengers took turns fighting against the transfer student. Those who had relatively low ranks had decided to waste as much of his energy as possible rather than trying to defeat him. They did not even realize that they had lowered their stance against Mo Fan. Finally, it was the turn of a girl ranked 190. Mo Fan stood at the center of the stage and observed the rather tall girl in front of him. Mo Fan preferred someone like Tang Yu, who had an outstanding physique despite being fairly tall, instead of a girl who was tall and slender. As such, he had no intention of showing her any mercy. However, as the battle began, Mo Fan realized how naive his thoughts were. Mo Fan could handle those who were ranked below 400th with basic spells, and those ranked higher than 400th did have some capabilities up their sleeves. He would need to put in some extra effort to defeat them. Initially, he assumed that it would be similar to those ranked in the top 200, yet he discovered that the girl's fire element cultivation was already comparable to his. He had the rose flame, yet his opponent also had a fire element soul seed, and one considered above average among the soul seeds he had seen before. Its flame had a long-lasting effect, which meant it was extremely difficult to put out. Left with no choice, Mo Fan finally used his lightning element. The 4th tier lightning strike produced a lightning field with paralyzing effect around the girl. She had no chance of escaping, even with her wind track. Mo Fan finally gained the upper hand using his 4th tier lightning strike. He abused the violent nature of the lightning element to defeat the female student, wasting a significant amount of his energy. Double soul seeds. This kid, said Wei Rong with a blank face. A ranking of 190 was fairly impressive, yet Wei Rong found it unacceptable that she was defeated just like that. However, since he was already being extravagant by ranking up a basic spell to the 4th tier, it only made sense if he also had a soul seed for the other element, since the resources needed to rank up a basic spell to the 4th tier were more than enough to buy 2 ordinary soul seeds. Fire and lightning, how violent. 2 soul seeds, 2 4th tier basic spells, no wonder this transfer student dares to do something so bold. He does have a lot to back up his statement. I'm afraid those without 2 soul seeds will have trouble defeating him, Bai Mei said with an admiring gaze. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.